Welcome back. Famous for Nothing. It's been a while. Unfortunately, Joseph is still not here. He is on ayahuasca. It's a journey of self-discovery.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Is that a code word?
You may recognize my guest this week. 25 years in radio in Philadelphia?
26 years
26
in radio.
years.
Yeah.
26 years on the radio, on some of the biggest shows in Philadelphia radio.
Yeah.
Mr. Nick McIlwain, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Thanks for your patience. We started
No.
this conversation months ago, and you and I were just discussing before the show began. We've both been through a lot of
a lot of personal stuff.
So has Joseph, and a lot of personal stuff. So I really appreciate your patience in waiting for me to come and do this. But I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. I've been a friend of yours for a long time, and it's always great to have a conversation with somebody that you like and respect. And I think we have some funny stories over the years. So thanks for having me.
So what's new?
To a brief recap, it was 26 years at WMMR and then 21 years with the Preston and Steve show. There was a brief interlude at Y100. That's where I started on Preston and Steve. That was in the fall of 2004. And then that station blew up in February 2005. We had a little hiatus. There was, believe it or not, there was a lawsuit. Greater Media, which owned MMR at the time, sued Radio 1, which owned Y100, to get Preston and Steve out of a non-compete, which Greater Media was right, and they were smart to bring that lawsuit. So then MMR began for the Preston and Steve show with Preston and Steve and Casey and me in May of 2005, and then Marissa Magnata joined shortly thereafter. She had already been at the radio station. She'd been at MMR working with prior shows, and so she became like the official sixth member of the show at some point in that mix. But yeah, 20 years of Preston and Steve at MMR, and I left almost a year ago. I left right before Thanksgiving in 2025.
How long were you grappling with your decision to leave?
That's a great question. While I had been thinking about making a change for a while, and it wasn't because I didn't love the show or didn't love the job or love the radio station. I loved all three, but I was starting to feel really burnt out and really tired, physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. And then my decision got kicked into higher gear in May of 2025 when the decision was made to not renew Kathy Romano. Kathy is one of my best friends. She was my work wife. I love her dearly. We talk almost every day. And I started thinking in earnest about making a real life change last summer. Right. And in August of last year, about a year ago, my wife and I went to France for 2 weeks. It was, just summer vacation over there. And it really dawned on me, even though I knew this, that it's a big world with a lot of different jobs and a lot of different possibilities. And sometimes you need to travel or get away, even it's on vacation, for your horizons to be broadened like that. My son spent the first semester of college in Dublin, Ireland. He goes to Northeastern, and so they have an international program to start, which is a really cool, interesting way for college kids to begin,
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So I had to come home for a week to go to work, and then went back across the ocean and spent a few days with my son in Dublin, and met my ex-wife and my current wife in Dublin, which was cool, and helped.
And not weird at all.
No, it's really nice. I get along great with my ex-wife, and so that was really cool. And she's a wonderful mom, and so we were all in Dublin at the same time, which was really neat. So all of that led to me thinking, man, there's a lot of world out there, and
there's a lot to do.
And
it's a finite timeline. Yeah.
Yes. The finite timeline part of it is key, I think. Mm-hmm. So that was Labor Day, 2025. And then I spent a lot of September in conversations with management and MMR, letting them know I was unhappy and burnt out and really, really tired. And we started thinking about what an exit plan might look like. And so that was September and October 2025, and then Pierre died October 29, 2025, and that I had pretty much made my decision before that. I hadn't talked to Pierre about it, which in some respects sucks because
Yeah.
I would love to have talked to him about it. I'm also kind of glad that I didn't.
You didn't break his heart in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd already had his heart broken
With Kathy,
so many
yeah.
times. After Pierre died, one of the strange twists in all of this is that I felt like we did excellent radio for a couple of weeks. It was, we paid tribute to him. We honored him as best we could. It felt really communal at MMR. It really felt like a family again, even in terrible circumstances. And then Camp Out for Hunger, which is the annual food drive that the President Steve Show does and benefits Phil Abundance. That whole week was dedicated to Pierre.
Right.
And all of that just felt great, even though we were all really sad and in shock and going through the grief or the beginning stages of grief about losing Pierre. And then those things ended, and I just one of the things about Pierre dying, and he was only 70 when he passed away, was that as trite and as commonplace as this sounds, we only get so many trips around the sun, right? And you never know when your time's going to be up. And so I thought about Pierre's passing, and I didn't want to spend the next 5 to 10 years working at a place where I was exhausted and burnt out. So I recommitted to my decision to leave, even though it was difficult. Preston and Steve knew, Casey and Marissa knew, Kathy knew actually as well. And then I started telling some of my coworkers, and then I made it public the day before Thanksgiving.
Right. No, I remember.
Yeah.
That was it was great. I mean, I think a lot of people assumed it happened very quickly, the decision, but I kind of felt, I'm like, this feels like it's been cooking, because I think you had said something like, between Kathy and then Pierre, like, and I think a lot of people were maybe thinking, oh, well, that just tipped him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I felt like it was probably more reflective than that.
I don't regret the decision at all. That doesn't mean that I'll miss the show. No.
Do you listen to the show?
No. No, not really.
Not yet.
Occasionally stuff will pop up. More often, like on social media, I'll see something like a guest that comes on or whatever, or something fun or funny, and I'll tune into clips. I'm not up in the morning anymore.
How's that feel?
Oh my God. Just the best. Like,
it's great. We've all been doing it. It's awesome.
The best part of the last year is that I've slept like a normal person. And what every doctor says is true. Like, sleep is so important.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting it for 21 years.
It was probably 21 of the more important ones.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes its toll.
Also, I have this theory that as you get older, you just naturally wake up earlier.
I think that's true.
Because your body's like, you're going to die soon. You should get out there.
Yeah. Life's happening.
Like, it's you should enjoy this.
Sun's up.
Not a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 4 a.m. for 21 years really was a lot. And Preston Elliott always put it best, in my opinion, which was, you get used to not getting used to it. People always ask, do you get used to it? And you don't.
You don't, but you accept it.
But you accept it.
Yeah.
And by the end of every week, by Thursday of every week, sometimes Wednesday, especially if we had work events during the week, I was exhausted by Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And it's not a physically demanding job. It's a fun job, but it was a exhausting job. And so I was physically exhausted and really mentally exhausted and burnt out by both. And the physical exhaustion led into the mental exhaustion, just you're not sleeping and whatever else. So, and then on top of all of that, not getting any sleep is not good for mental health.
No, it's really not that
Right?
good. Yeah. And it's bad. It's not really good for personal relationships, things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a busy show, the President Steve Show, and MMR is a busy radio station. There's always stuff going on. There's something coming up next, and you guys know, you and Joseph.
We sat in a lot of meetings with you guys where we waited our turn because there were so many other things happening.
There are, as you well know, radio shows that do their show and then they go home. And that's fine for those shows, but that's not how MMR operates, and it's not how the President Steve Show works. And so there's always something next on the horizon. And, it's a good way to maintain forward momentum. But yeah, I was really burnt out, and then that was taking its toll on anxiety and depression, and both clinical anxiety and clinical depression. Not just being sad or feeling anxious, and so all of those decisions I thought a lot about, and I thought about them for a long time, and then I felt comfortable with my decision, and I mean, I traveled immediately after the show, after I left the show.
Which I think was a very good idea.
It was great.
Just change your whole perspective.
It was nice to escape and just get away from it. I came back. We had the concert of celebration for Pierre in the middle of December last year. There was also his funeral service, which was in December. Those were amazing celebrations of Pierre's life and the music that he loved. And then, and then there was the holidays. And then this year I've just kind of been recalibrating, and I have a few ideas that I've been working on and some things in the hopper and a couple part-time jobs that have been keeping me busy.
Oh, good.
But I've also just enjoyed living and not working for the better part.
Have you been able to? Because I always think, and I think it's part of being like having your own company for however many years this has been now.
You have to.
It's just like, well, I have this like baseline anxiety, so it's very hard for me to like take time and enjoy it. Like I'm always like, oh, I should take a vacation, and I can't because I have to work. And then when I have enough money to take a vacation, I go on vacation and I go, I have to be working. I'm not working right now. I'm not making any money, So it's just this really awful cycle. So that must be nice to actually be able to take some time and appreciate your day.
I bought some time for myself this year deliberately, and I bought some financial independence for a little bit. My wife is an artist, and so what you were speaking about...
that pays great.
We're not living on her salary. It's hard, right? Like you're CEO, you're the mailroom, you're the intern, you're marketing.
It's no good.
It's nonstop.
It's an unsustainable business practice in the current America.
Yeah. So I've been really fortunate and really lucky to have some time and some financial independence to be able to do this. It won't last forever. It can't. I have a mortgage and a son in college, and I want to continue to live a life. But for this year, I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do for 2026, and part of what I'm going to do is nothing.
And that was part of your plan, I guess, when you were starting to think about fading out. You were like, I need to set myself up.
There was a point in time where I was starting to figure out when I was going to end, when my last show was going to be, and I initially was going to stay through the entire calendar year. I was going to finish it right before the holidays.
December 31st.
Before, right. And right before New Year's. And I had a friend who, Amy Mengert, and she said, we were just hanging out one weekend, and she was like, well, when can you leave? And I was like, well, I can leave now. If the parent company was like, you can kind of leave whenever you want. And she's like, leave as soon as you possibly can. Buy yourself that time. You're never going to have a chance like this again. And she was right. So I wanted to stay through Camp Out for Hunger because I love that event. I love
and you were
that
invested in it. You did a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's a great week for a million reasons, and not to mention that you're helping to feed a lot of people that need to get fed. So I wanted to be a part of that. But I got back from Camp Out for Hunger. That was middle of November, and I was like, well, there's a long weekend over Thanksgiving. That'll be my last day. So that is when I did. So thank you, Amy, for helping me make that decision. And that bought me another month, which has been great. So so we'll see where the next couple of months take me. We're in the middle of August now, and I have one more road trip planned for 2026, which I'm excited about, and then I can get serious about like what the next serious thing is. But the next. I'm 51, so the next serious thing might be 3 serious things, or 1 serious thing and 2 part-time things. I did a quote-unquote serious thing, even though it was a job in radio for a long time.
Right.
But that was one job. And in this day and age, you can kind of do a bunch of stuff and figure out where you want to spend your time, where you want to spend your energy.
Yeah, we're sort of in a post-career world.
Yeah. I mean, COVID helped change some of that. You could work from home. You could be a Swiss Army knife, and there were a lot of terrible things about 2020, but flexibility that was built into people's professional lives is not one of them. Also drinking outside is great. I like what COVID did for bars to allow you to take
walking around with booze.
Holy crap!
I did find myself at one point like when I would walk my dog, I would take 1 or 2 empty bottles of booze and put it in other people's recycling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's a bad look.
How much did I have delivered this week? Yeah.
The booze delivery was yeah, it was funny.
I got introduced to Stateside Vodka, and I was like, man, they got half a case of vodka delivered to your house? God bless.
It's like, what a time to be alive.
Right? Yes.
Oh, wait.
Can't go anywhere.
Everything's terrible.
Yes, and not everybody's living. But yeah.
Any new vices since your
God.
retirement?
What a great question. I don't think so. I've tried to eliminate some of the vices.
Have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on the right side of vice.
Yeah, that's the other thing about being north of 50 is that you don't sleep as well if you've been drinking too much. And so I've cut back on drinking, which is...
Dude, everything. I don't sleep well after anything. It could be drinking, exercise, anything. It all affects me.
Yeah, totally. The month after I left MMR, I drank way too much. And so that I've traveled to... see friends in Southern California. I went back to Ireland to see my son, and I was partying quite a bit. And I got back, whenever right before Christmas. I was like, I need to try out for a while.
Right. But you got major credit as cool dad.
Yeah. Well,
Dad
I got a cool son, and I got to, it was funny because you can drink legally at 19 in Ireland, and he did, and he was like, yeah, I don't really like. Guinness, but I like Heineken. I was like, all right, well, that's good job, son.
Yeah. Well, grab a Heine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We all love Heineken.
That's right. Yeah. I did the Heineken tour in 1996 with my friend Sherry Ann, and it was $2. And if you're ever in Amsterdam, I can't recommend it more highly because you get a tour of the brewery, and it's a fascinating history of an amazing brewery that's been around for 400 years or whatever it is, and you learn about how the beer's made and all of that stuff. And then at the end, it's free sample time.
Right, yes.
And they bring out cheese and crackers, and you can just hang for as long as you want to hang. And
how very Dutch.
It was great.
Because, the Guinness tour, they just give you one glass of Guinness, and they're like, beat it.
I have an alternative to the Guinness tour.
Good, because you know what? A lot of people say terrible tour.
I didn't go, so I can't speak from personal experience. I saw the Guinness building. However, the Jameson tour right around the corner on was it Bowery Street, I think is what it is, or Bow Street, doesn't matter. If you're in Ireland, look up Jameson Distillery. And it's not all free samples afterwards. You do get some free samples in the process, but same kind of thing. You're learning about the history of this, world-renowned distillery and name and whiskey, and then where all the different distilleries have sort of merged with Jameson over the years in different parts of Ireland. It's fascinating stuff. And then they just dump you out in a place where you can drink for a couple hours, and we did. And it's just like, what life am I living right now? It was really cool.
No, that's fun stuff.
It was really fun. Yeah.
Best thing you did this year, though? What was it?
Wow.
In all your free time.
Yeah.
And don't say, me and my wife got to just look at each other the whole time. Don't say that. Say something people want to hear.
Best thing that I got to do. Well, I'm really looking forward to this road trip that I've planned. I've planned it since February, and I'm renting an RV and I'm driving west.
Nice.
And I'm keeping a lot of it deliberately open. So I'm leaving the Philly area, and the destination is the Gorge in Washington State. I love Dave Matthews Band, and they perform there for 3 nights every Labor Day weekend. And it's this collective of people. The Gorge is removed from everything. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's 2.5 hours east of Seattle, sort of in the middle of eastern Washington. And it's this gorgeous venue, and the backdrop is the Columbia River Gorge. And I've been a couple of times, so I'm really excited to get back. But I decided to just build a road trip around it and just see parts of the American West that I haven't seen before. I've never been to the Dakotas. I've taken a bunch of road trips this summer.
Are you driving north?
I'm taking the northern route, yeah.
So Route 80?
I'm going to go up. I'm going to start on 80 and then go up through Minnesota. I'm going to go to Teddy Roosevelt National Park, which is in western North Dakota. I've never been to either of the Dakotas before. There's a brand new presidential library there, and Teddy Roosevelt Library, and they decided to build it there instead of in New York, which is where he grew up. And it's a national park that nobody goes to. And so I'm excited to see that. And then Montana for a few days. I'm meeting some friends there. And then Montana to Spokane and then the Gorge. But I'll tell you, one thing that I really enjoyed, I did spring training with the Phillies in March, and I've done that a bunch. But I drove down, again, because I have time this year. And I bought this rooftop camper thing. And it's this Tool or Thule, however you pronounce it, thing. And it pops up. And I drove from Philly down to Florida, and then drove with my wife from Clearwater, Florida, to New Orleans, and we drove along the Gulf Coast, and then I drove from New Orleans to Tennessee, saw some friends in Tennessee, and then Tennessee to Virginia, and then Virginia back home. But in all of that, I had time, and when you have time and flexibility, you know, this country is so messed up on so many different levels all the time, every day. There's one terrible news story after another. But it is still a really cool country with a lot of amazing things to see, with some incredible people out there. And if you don't travel and see it, you might forget that. Or if you get bogged down in your phone, or you spend too much time on Instagram or social media or whatever, it's really easy to get absorbed by the negative crap.
Right. And we tend to drive the same routes every day, or, go to the same circuit of, I'm going to run my errands, I'm doing this. Yeah. It's everything is an echo chamber now.
You get bogged down by routine. It's not uncommon, and it's but I'd never been to Alabama before. I was on the Gulf Coast of Alabama, and it was unbelievably gorgeous.
Yeah, the Gulf Coast is really nice.
It was so nice. And everybody there was incredibly friendly. And then we drove through like Biloxi, and then I'd been to New Orleans before, but like it was a beautiful and great time to be in New Orleans. And so, travel is just great. Not everybody can do it. And I understand that people are constrained by work and money and whatever else. But especially like when you're on a road trip and you're not just on the highways all the time, and you're driving back roads and visiting towns that you never have heard of. There's just most people in life have pretty similar goals. They want to go to work. They want to raise their kids. They want to cut the grass. They want to, pay the bills and get groceries and whatever else. And then, as a result, I think most people have far more in common than we think that they do. And there's this notion that everybody is so divided, and there certainly is division in this country. There's division in the world. But man, like it just sitting down and chatting with somebody at a coffee shop in, on the Gulf Coast of Alabama, I was like, oh, this is really nice. And these people just want to have a conversation too. So like, I think it just takes a little bit of effort sometimes. I went to Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd never been there before. That was a cool little town, So like, I loved being able to do that kind of thing. So that road trip was great. And this road trip I have coming up, I'm very excited about. That's a long answer to your question.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
It's theater of the mind. It's great. No, I think a lot of people in this country, I think the biggest thing right now that everyone has in common is like, we all just don't want to struggle.
Yeah. The fear of the struggle and the fear of a lack of a social safety net make for interesting political divides. And I try as best I can to understand if somebody disagrees with me on policies on things like that. So I think that those make for interesting conversations too. And I don't mean this at all in a political way, but it's just like, the healthcare system in this country is so weird and so messed up and so often expensive. But we were chatting about this before, like we have access to incredible doctors in this country and amazing medical care. You just have to know how to be able to get through some of the system to get to that.
There's a lot of gatekeeping with it.
A lot of gatekeeping, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so I've learned a lot about that in the last 4 months, especially with elder care. My dad's been ill, and dealing with hospitals and dealing with Medicare and dealing with like long-term insurance. And my dad worked in insurance and benefits. That was his career. And he knows more about it than anybody I know in my life. And with all of his training, with everything that he'd done to set up the end of his life, and he's still alive, but like where he was going to be at the end of his life, it was still a learning curve for me and my brothers and my mom. And so like all of that is just, it's fascinating. It's daunting. We're all going to die. And, so being able to prepare yourself for the end of your life that's been a crash course. It's been an exhausting one for the better part of 4 months, but man, it's been a series of important lessons that nobody is ever going to teach you unless you really need it.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, it's going to take up a lot of space in your brain if you
but
you don't need to know it.
We're not going to college to learn about how to take care of our parents when they're getting old, right? And like you don't. There's not a lot of prep for elder care.
Right. Well, I'm Cuban, so I have no choice but to care for my.
Are they in that room over there?
They're all here. There's several people sleep here. There's a lot of us.
Yeah. My dad has had very little control over his life over the last 4 months, which has been really difficult for him to handle because he's been in control of so much for most of his life, and to have that removed has been awful for him.
As a white guy in America, that is the worst thing that you can have taken from you.
Exactly.
It's like, what?
Yeah. And here's a guy who like spent all of his life like prepping for a lot of my dad is prepared for his own death. Whenever it happens, he has done a great job at, I think, mentally preparing, knowing that death is inevitable, and then financially preparing to make sure that my mom is taken care of, and that that my brothers and I will be okay. But the organization behind that preparation has been sorely lacking, and so like my brothers and I and my mom and my wife we've all been playing catch up on like, all right, well, Dad's got these things here and here and here and here, and we got to figure these things out and streamline this and that. So it's, I guess, Jay, what I'm trying to say is, you never know what's going to take up a lot of time and energy, and I expected to be doing different things over the last 4 months, and most of my time and my energy recently has been dealing with that, and that's not a complaint. I've been really lucky to not have a full-time job at this moment. So I've been able to help out at home and help out with my parents. Had I had the job that I had a year ago, I don't know if I would have been able to do everything that I've been able to do.
You wouldn't have. You certainly would have been focused.
Yeah.
And the job you did before. I don't. A lot of people. Oh, it's great. You're paid well to be on the radio, and it's like, yeah, it's a hard job though.
Yeah.
And I know the hard job is.
Both are true.
Yeah. Joseph and I started this podcast because for years it was this joke that we had where we were like, we could do that.
Right.
Like knowing you guys, we were like, we know them. We could do that.
Yeah.
We like to do 1 hour once a week was nearly fucking impossible for us. The fact that you guys did 4+ hours, 5 days a week was it's like, what? How on earth are you keeping this up?
Well, some of it was just by having done it for as long as we did it. And Preston and Steve and Casey did it longer than I did. I joined the show after Kathy had been there for a year. So a lot of it was just because they learned how to do it, right? And if you go back and you listen to old shows of the Preston and Steve show, even early days at MMR, the breaks were a lot shorter. Often they were like 8, 10, 12 minutes long. And at the beginning stages at Y100, Preston and Steve talk about this now, and they were like, all right, well, what are we going to talk about? And how are we going to fill up 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever? And then, there have been moments over the last 5 to 10 years where, when I was on the show, we'd talk about potato salad for 25 minutes. It's just like, it's remarkable. Like once you get in a groove and you've worked with people for as long as you have, what's the best salad? Is it macaroni salad? Is it potato salad? No, it's fruit salad. No, and it's just like asinine stuff that becomes somehow an interesting conversation. And Preston and Steve were both so driven to do well and such consummate professionals that it took a lot of work to make it sound effortless.
Right. I mean, and we all know it's German potato salad.
It's right. Depending on what part of the city you're from. I think my vote was for macaroni salad, to be perfectly honest. But potato salad probably came in second. And that's fair. Depends on the time of year, I think. Summer, probably, I lean a little bit more towards macaroni salad because it's a bit lighter. But man, I've talked about this a few times, but Steve was, when we would have interviews, Steve was so prepared and had so many questions and did a lot of research on whoever the guest might be. And he just knew how to find some good, unique questions that hadn't been asked before, or had bring them up in ways that the guest wouldn't expect. And many times you would hear the guest comment to Steve, "Hey, you did a lot of research," and Steve had. And then the rest of us knew how to continue conversations. Preston was so good, is so good. I shouldn't say was, just because I'm not on the show anymore, at steering the conversation, at also involving the listeners in the conversation.
We all know the show pales in comparison to when you were on it.
I mean,
clearly.
It was never number one until I joined. And that's, you can look it up. Yeah, look, I mean, Preston was great at making sure that we would go to the phones or involve text conversations. Right. And that was part of what my job was, sort of behind the scenes, was that Preston and I shared a screen. And I would highlight stuff that would come up on the text screen that he could see, or actively do research and bring up something that might be pertinent to the conversation while everybody else is on air. And, if I had something more to say about a topic, I would lean into the mic a little bit more. Sometimes there would be conversations or subjects that I was not as interested in, and so I'd lean back. And same thing went for Casey and Marissa and Kathy. And so it was a dynamic of, when I was on it, for the most part, 5 people in the room, and Marissa in the production studio, everybody kind of knowing their role. Yep. And that really suited the dynamic of the show. And I'll say this, that was part of the reason why I was so pissed off about Kathy leaving.
It fucked the dynamic.
It fucked the dynamic. And it was a dynamic that had been built for 22 years, 21 with me on it, 20 including Marissa. That type of dynamic takes years and effort and mindfulness, and it was just yanked away. So that was really shitty, because you may be watching this, or you may be listening, or maybe a listener of MMR and didn't like Kathy Romano, or didn't like me, or don't like Casey, or whatever, didn't like Pierre Robert. It doesn't matter. It's the sum is bigger than the parts, right? And that's what the dynamic was. It's people use chemistry all the time in sports, but it's true. Like, there's a dynamic that happens in a room or in a locker room or wherever, and that helps to lead to success.
Let's see if I prepared well enough.
Okay.
Because I famously never prepare. So,
wait, did you do any preparation?
Not really.
Okay.
I was like, we know each other pretty well.
You're a step ahead.
Do you have anything to do with your Wikipedia page?
I have a Wikipedia page?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't. I don't think I have a page. There's something that always bummed me out about Wikipedia and me, and it's really petty. I went to Conestoga High School in Berwyn, and they have a list of notable alumni.
You're not on it?
I'm not on there.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it really pisses me off, yeah.
That is, who's on it that...
there's a lot of...
there's a lot.
Much more noteworthy people than me, and well-deserved. The guys from Mount Joy, Sam and Matt are on there. Todd Glass is on there.
Oh, right, Todd Glass for those.
Yeah, a few different guys that ended up playing the NFL.
Right, Abby...
Abby Jacobson.
Yeah.
Grant Shode, you remember him? He was on Murphy Brown. He played Miles on Murphy Brown.
Oh yeah,
he's Conestoga grad. So there's some worthwhile people on there. Katie Tur is from. She's a reporter. I think I'm getting that right. Anyway, Marquise Weeks is on there, but not even like Nick of the Preston and Steve show, or Nick from W, like first name. Conestoga High School in Berwyn, PA. What the hell?
It's like, yeah, hook me up, would you?
Right? Yeah. I'm also not a notable alumni of Bucknell University, but that I understand a little bit more, because I was a terrible, terrible college student, and it took me forever to graduate. So, I forgive Bucknell. That I get. But Conestoga, come on, I graduated on time.
I find you notable.
Thank you. Really, that's all the validation I need.
Pool, beach, or lake?
I think it depends on the beach.
Do you have a preference?
Yes, and this is snobby. but it's the Caribbean over the Jersey Shore, and here's why. The Jersey Shore is
full of scumbags. It is just garbage in the water, garbage on the beach, and I don't mean trash.
Did you want to gain listeners on this program or not? I grew up going to the Jersey Shore, and most of my friends and family
What town?
My Ocean City, New Jersey, Strathmere, and Avalon.
So what a social climber.
We started at Avalon. My dad, the biggest financial
fall.
No, listen, he had property on 17th Street, 3 blocks off the ocean, and he sold it in like 83 or 84, something like that. My dad has made a lot of wise financial decisions in his life. By far, that's his biggest regret. He just didn't want to take care of the property anymore, so we sold it. So then it became rental properties in Ocean City and Strathmere. But I would much rather get on a plane and really ultimately spend the same dollars and go to a beach in the Caribbean than go to the Jersey Shore.
Plus, I want to be able to see my feet.
Yeah. I mean, you can snorkel right off. Look, this is snobby, but I go to St. John and the Virgin Islands, and I love it there. I've been 7 times, 8 times. My ex-wife used to live there. She introduced me to the island. It's an amazing place. And believe it or not, I swear to God, it's just as affordable as the Jersey Shore, depending on what you want to spend for a week. So,
my wife, a lot of her family moved to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And, we go quite a bit. It's great.
It's great. And it's easy to get there.
Yeah. There's a rainforest. And there's beaches. And there's towns that are made, designed by expats that are fun and cool.
Yes.
And there's cockfighting.
Legal cockfighting.
What's the smallest animal you've ever bet on? I'm thinking you got
mice races?
Everything from horse to dog to chicken.
I think we did mice in lab maze races in college.
Oh man!
Well, I had a bunch of friends that were biology majors, and there's mice and rats in the lab, and you'd get bored. And yes, that's probably it. Mice. Yeah,
it's indicative of the kind of person you are.
Yeah. Well. And my friends. I don't think I started it, but I certainly participated.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
I don't think I won either. I think Dave and Randy knew the fastest mice, and they decided that they probably were going to take my money. But
they were in the lab. They probably PEDs.
Probably the bio building at Bucknell. I remember it. Yeah.
So it's a beach. It's a Caribbean beach.
Yeah. And I'm sure that sounds snotty, but Caribbean beach. I like a lake. But there's something weird about going for a swim in fresh water. There's just
never.
People love it. I can't.
Nah.
And then public pools probably not. Friends that have a pool that they want to invite me over, I'll come. I'll accept that invite. Yeah. Rooftop pools, those are cool.
Always cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know enough of those. Yeah. There's one in South Philly. Not South Philly, Pine Street, maybe? There's a public pool that you can go to. And with you guys, years ago, we went to that Italian club.
It's for sale.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That in the courtyard?
Yep.
That was a cool pool.
That was very cool. Yeah. That was a very cool spot. That was
where was that in the
it was near
the Italian market?
Yeah, it was I think on 6th Street.
Yeah.
It was
a private club.
It was a private club. It was about 3 homes wide.
Yeah.
And only one of the buildings was an actual home. The others were just facade. And then all 3 houses in the backyard were just cement with a giant pool in it and bars.
But you would never know from the outside.
No, you would never know.
And somehow you guys found this place and you walk through the front door and then you walk through one of the bars.
Yeah.
And then and then in the courtyard, this is gorgeous little pool and club. And you're like, well, let's get some half naked women here.
Yes, that was a very good time.
It was a different time.
It was a different time.
We used to do a calendar on the Preston and Steve show. That was that was one year where the shoot took place. The photo shoot took place.
Yes, that was what we were. I think the sponsor that year wasn't a location; it was like a florist.
Yes,
so we were like, we need to shoot places.
Oh my god, dude!
And that was one of them. And
I think I was in charge of the calendar. I know I was in charge of it, but I think I was in charge of it that year. And I probably did it for 8 or 9 years, and then Kathy took over.
Which, by the way, big change between those 2 years. We were like, wow, it's a lot more business now that Kathy's not suffering our tomfoolery quite the way Nick allowed us to.
Yeah.
We were like, we called it spitballing.
We all have regrets. That was probably like 2012, 2013, something like that.
Ooh, and, right. Yeah, probably.
J. Allen Florists or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Because we were obliged to do one of the photo shoots there, too.
Yes, in their workspace, which was crazy.
Yeah. But they provided flowers for all the photo shoots.
It was a lot of flowers.
Yeah.
It was a lot of flowers.
Yeah. Man.
I remember, I cannot remember what show I went to, but between the second and third night, whatever, I went to see a show and got really banged up.
Okay.
And the day we were at the pool, I was so painfully hungover. And there was no shade there. I mean, there was literally no shade. It's just cement and what?
Exposed cement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was suffering so much for so long. And I remember, like, several members of the Philadelphia Flyers showed up.
Yeah. There were a couple of years there we're more than a decade removed, so I feel like we're allowed to say that
we're safe now. Yeah.
And this is also
limitations up.
Right. And this is also pre-Me Too movement. Not that matters that much, but like it was a different climate.
It was a different time.
Yes, which was such a bullshit excuse, but it's also the reality.
Culture was different.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And there were several Flyers over the years who used our calendar as a catalog of sorts.
Man, those motherfuckers, they would flip through and be like, can I get these numbers?
It would get passed around the locker room, and we would set aside a certain number of calendars every year to go to the Flyers. And at some point in the production design, you guys decided, and maybe we agreed or whatever, but like we would include the girls in the calendar, their social media handles.
At a certain point, that became actually safer than their hometown.
That's right. Yeah. But occasionally I would get texts from certain players and be like, hey, what do you know about this person? And, and then they would come to events, and there was a night where we all went to fucking Nickelback, of all people. I was hanging out with a bunch of Flyers at the Nickelback show because Nickelback's huge in Canada, and half the Flyers are Canadian, and a whole bunch of calendar girls came. So, yeah, again, different time.
Different time.
It was a different time.
Different time. Uh-huh. I remember, I think it was, what year did we stop doing it? It was a little late. It was a little late.
Yeah. Well, it faded out because there was a best of one year.
Right.
And then there was also a poster that came out.
That was the pandemic.
That's right.
We did a poster, which I don't think I've ever actually seen.
I don't think I have either.
Printed.
Yeah.
And, it did not fade away because of lack of interest.
No.
It just was like maybe its time has come.
That's exactly it.
It was like, okay, like it felt like, we were children doing this thing still. And it was,
yeah.
I'm sad that it went out with a instead of a bang.
Right.
I would have loved to have really just pushed things even further.
We could have gone out with that best of instead of the whimper.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah.
And I think I had suggested to you, what if we did a calendar and everyone was an immigrant or trans or gay, to be a little more PC.
Yeah. We could have done a gay calendar. I think that would have done really well.
Yeah, all the girls were lesbians. That would have been great.
That's not what I was thinking, but you're right. I don't know why.
Hey.
No. You're right. I'm wrong. There's an old slogan that MMR used in either the late 80s or early 90s, which was, you've grown up and so have we. It was a short-lived slogan, and but that applies, that slogan, to the calendar.
Boy, we really put that to the test, didn't we?
But I think we all got a little bit older. We all had kids that were getting older.
Right, yeah.
And so it was a combination of all of it. It got more and more expensive year after year, and I think the last dynamic that ended the calendar was that we used to really be friends and friendly with the girls that were in the calendar.
Yeah.
They would come to events. They would be part of the social media team or the street team and listeners of the show, at the very bare minimum. And then they just became more and more like Instagram models, which is fine. They wanted to,
Right, yeah, represent the best possible light and have something that looked great, great-looking product. But we noticed when we would do wardrobe fittings and we'd sort of walk them through what's going to happen and how the shoot date's going to go and what's going to happen afterwards and the release of the calendar. We were like, well, if you've listened to the show and and they'd be like, no. And we were like, whoa.
Yeah. They saw the calendar as a way to promote themselves, which is wise. Yeah, totally fine. But they didn't know anybody on the show. They didn't listen to the show. They didn't listen to the radio station. And that started to change probably when Kathy took over. Let's be honest. A lot of this is Kathy's fault. No, I'm kidding.
I think there was a lot less grassroots effort in the recruiting and more like let's find the prettiest girls as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Like as we got later and later.
I mean, again, just sort of speaking to how the dynamic has shifted over the years. We used to do Philly's Hottest contests every month, and
right.
Then that became quarterly, and then it became twice a year. We used to have a Preston and Steve girls section on the website, and then we gave out panties for a stretch and tank tops and stuff. And this was at MMR really. I mean, it started at Y100. The first calendar was at Y100.
Y100, yeah. The first one we did was there.
Yeah, and then at MMR, it was
by the way, my favorite month, Kathy Romano. If you can find it, you'd be lucky because she's had them all destroyed.
But they're out there.
They're out there. There's a couple collectibles.
Yeah, from 2005 to for a decade, really, 2015, 2016. It was a part of the show and probably a part of the growth of the show and expanding into guys like these calendars, girls like doing these calendars, events that were women centric only.
Oh yeah.
People would come out. It's sort of, MMR prior to Preston and Steve for the better part of a decade was very, very heavy on male listeners.
Yep.
And when Preston and Steve came over, it became a lot more female friendly. The demographic completely shifted. It probably was 75-25, maybe even 80-20 men to women prior to Preston and Steve. And then it really evened out. It was 55-45, something like that. And that was in part because Preston and Steve really did a great job at embracing women listeners and doing women-centric events, which they still do. There's a fucking sorority for crying out loud. So it's just it's funny how they were able to gear events that were women specific, but then also some of it was TNA stuff, and it was a funny or interesting, I should say, combination of all of that. But the calendar, Preston and Steve Girls, Philly's Hottest, all of that was a part of what the show was.
Radio was weird, man.
Well,
radio was so strange.
It really was. And I keep saying it, and I feel like an old man saying this, but there were a lot of different shows that were geared towards that type of audience. Opie and Anthony did that. Yeah. Kid Chris did that, for a very small amount of time here in Philadelphia, but there was some level of notoriety. Obviously, Stern helped build his legend on Tits and Ass, and it was just Stern was probably the first radio person to have porn stars on regularly, right?
Oh yeah.
So and a huge part of Stern's success started here in Philadelphia.
Yep.
In the late 80s and early 90s when YSP started doing really well in large part because of what Howard was doing in syndication. The first syndication market for Howard outside of New York was Philadelphia. So I don't know. None of it is an accident. And then also none of the demise of that stuff is an accident either. People's tastes change.
Mores change.
Yeah.
The podcasting.
Yeah.
Also, getting back to the calendar, it was we were competing with Instagram, with all these things on your phone that were just I can see someone's vulva in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't really need this printed piece.
Right. Yeah. See someone's vulva.com, right?
Yeah.
So there are, I didn't expect to say that in this interview. It's funny. Yeah. But all of that has changed over time. And it's just sort of the natural evolution of things. There's probably a handful of people who are still Preston and Steve listeners who miss the calendar, but I think that the audience also evolved away from it. They're just all right, that was fun while it lasted.
Right, and the audience, there's a new generation of listeners that are totally. Had no idea really.
Totally.
I'm sure they'd be appalled and have us all canceled.
Probably. Yeah. Well, that's another funny dynamic of being canceled, right? How long does that last now?
Right. Yeah. No, it's recoverable for the most part.
I think so. Louis C.K. has a new special on Netflix, and Louis was canceled for a couple of years, but he's been able to make a recovery, and
was still doing fine.
Yeah.
On his own. I mean, he had his fans. He had his thing. He had established a really.
He also owned his shit.
He owned all his own stuff. He had a pay structure set up that his fans were willing to participate in.
Yeah.
So it was not. I mean, it was detrimental. I mean,
right.
You don't see photos of him with 2 Emmys at his feet anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's just interesting to me to see cancel culture and its actual impact, because people like tossing that term around, and there is some level where that has an impact. But I would also submit that the news cycle is so fast now, and people just stop paying attention to stuff after 2 weeks, and the cancel part of it fades a lot faster, I think, than it used to. You might have in the back of your mind somewhere, wait, we don't like Louis C.K. for some reason, right?
Right.
As an example. Yeah. And they're like, oh wait, no, the guy's funny, or you just forget it entirely. It's just with so many options to watch and listen to and focus your free time on. I think we just tend to forget, like, oh, I was pissed off at this comedian or this actor for a stretch, and I don't even remember why, but like people told me to be pissed off for a little bit.
If we looked at a list of canceled celebrities, you would have a hard time remembering some of the reasons.
Exactly.
You'd be like, Aziz Ansari, like, what? Why do we cancel him?
It's a perfect example. Yeah. And it's, in retrospect, he probably did some things that were in poor taste. I don't think anything that he did was criminal.
He was horny.
Yeah. And he was a bad date a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And he probably treated women poorly. Is that
depending on who you ask, we all have.
And I look at guys like that, I'm like, maybe he learned from his own behavior. Maybe he evolved as an individual,
right, and
became a better human because he did some shitty stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And like, anyway, that's a whole other rant. But like, I find cancel culture and the reactions to it to be fascinating.
Yeah. What should you have been canceled for?
Oh my God, the calendar. Absolutely.
I'm glad I had a hand in it.
Yeah. It just was like, those days where you came in hungover from the night before and whatever. We did it for a decade, right? For more than a decade. Yeah. And
we had a couple shoots where we drank entirely too much on the shoot.
Yeah.
I think the second year at MMR, whatever, we did it at a brewery.
Oh my God.
And we all of us, the entire staff of the show, with the exception of Steve.
Not Steve. Yeah.
We all got so drunk.
Yeah, it was that microbrewery.
Yeah, in Old City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was so bad.
That was a day of work.
Yeah, it was a long day of work, but it was a day of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all grow up, don't we, Jay?
Eventually. Eventually we all think we grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a memory from and it doesn't I mean, it could, like, I assume it was from the show, of like an experience you wouldn't have been put in otherwise without that kind of access, that's just so weird or so great.
Well, I'll give you a weird one and a kind of a negative one. Not kind of. We did an event.
Most definitely.
Yeah, it was this. We were speaking of pools. We were at a pool party, and the intent of these pool parties was to have people come over and look at these properties as a possible place to live. It was a fancy apartment complex, right?
Okay.
They were client for a stretch. And it was a really beautiful pool, and they had this clubhouse that was attached to it, and they would bring out live music. And I think it started off with me and Casey going to these things, and then they started to become successful because they would land some clients and people who would move in. And so it became these, we did them for a few years, it became these whole show events. So for the most part, these events were fun and successful and good for the client and good for the radio station and whatever. However, there were these clubhouses. There was a clubhouse, and in that clubhouse, it was a free happy hour. That was the incentive for people to come out. And I ended up chatting with some listeners, and there was a nice young man and his very attractive girlfriend, and they were probably early 20s, mid 20s, and I was probably 35, 36 or so at the time. And the young woman, I don't think knew who I was. The guy did. And I don't know what prompted this, But like, she was like, so what do you do? And I was like, I work at MMR, and we're the reason here. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, you have a nice neck. And I was like, what? And then all of this happened.
I mean, I've always thought that.
Thank you. I work out.
Just my neck.
Yeah,
well, I do a lot of neck.
A lot of neck ups. The short version of the story, and I've rambled on for way too long. She reached across and had nails and dug into my neck. So
Holy
she grabs
Jesus.
my neck like this, right? And starts digging her nails in. So I don't know if you've ever had something similar like that happen where you like get punched out of nowhere or get slapped for no reason or whatever. But like, it was
I have, and it should happen more. I'll be honest.
It was so surprising and surreal and shocking that I had no idea what was going on while it was going on.
I know that feeling.
And she started tightening her grip and then digging her nails into my neck. And I was like, and then I finally, like, this is in a matter of 5 to 10 seconds or whatever. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And I kind of like slapped her hand down, and the boyfriend was like, hustled her away. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I think I just got assaulted and half strangled or whatever. They ended up calling the cops. It was just like, they filed a police report against her. It was so bizarre. And it was just because of alcohol and weird behavior. And so that one was, and we ended up talking about it on the air at one point, but I was just like, yeah, that one caught me off guard. That was a surprise.
She's probably someone's mom now.
Oh my God. You're probably right. I'm guessing. Yeah.
I mean, my money was on threesome, but
no, sadly,
nail choking.
Yeah, I mean, I had
not what
I had scars. Not scars, but I had nail imprints. She broke skin.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Hanging out at an event.
Yeah, well, that's
by a pool. Yeah. And look, the best thing.
Did they end up leasing an apartment there?
Probably not. I sure hope
for
not.
Nothing.
Yeah, I know. Right? They didn't even get a client out of it.
Couldn't close.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Dodged a bullet. The best thing is an easy answer, but it's still the true answer, which is we got to interview Eddie Vedder, and I love Pearl Jam, and I've loved Pearl Jam since I started loving rock music, and when I worked for Pierre, we got Stone Gossard. Matt Cord had developed a relationship and a friendship with Jeff Ament, the bass player. We'd gotten Mike McCready. We'd gotten Matt Cameron. We never gotten Ed. And then in 2013, we started making some progress and some inroads. And I will always be indebted to Pierre and to Matt for including me in that interview. They didn't have to. It was supposed to be two people. It was supposed to be just the two of them. And they were like, well, we need an engineer. And I'm not an engineer. But
it got you in the room.
It got me in the room, and I learned the equipment that I needed to learn. And we got, half hour with Eddie, and we got a shout out from Pearl Jam that night. And my date for the evening was Will Forte, the actor. He happened to be in town, and I asked him if he wanted to go to the show. So that was a magical night that
I
never
do love
would have
Will
happened.
Forte.
He's so cool. He's so cool and so funny. And so that was October of 2013. So that's not only top professional moment of my life, but like top 5 moments period of my life.
Well, I was a little worried. Some people that know me well know that I'm not a Pearl Jam fan.
That's okay.
And it's funny. I remember the day. I'm not sure if we were on the show and we were waiting to come on or something. You guys on the show, this is years ago, you were all talking about expertise or like deep knowledge.
Yeah, sure.
And everybody was sort of picking their thing that they had deep knowledge about. And you said Pearl Jam. And I always thought, I don't think Nick really knew that much about Pearl Jam before that day. And he just said it out of fear or whatever.
Yeah.
And has had to stick with that.
Yeah, that's probably true. I remember because we used to play a game called Crack Shot where you get asked trivia questions, and if you got it wrong, you get shot in the ass with a BB gun.
Yes.
And so we all had to pick our areas of expertise, and so I picked Pearl Jam, and Casey picked Fish, and Marissa at one point, who used to participate, chose The Simpsons, which is a bold category to choose because The Simpsons are still on air. They're still making new episodes.
Yeah. No, it's like, come on, we all know it stopped at season 12. There's just still making episodes.
There should be limits to your breadth of knowledge.
Right.
But yeah, at one point I was a quote unquote so-called expert on Pearl Jam.
Yeah. That's like picking The Simpsons is like picking Earth.
Yes,
you're like shit.
Yeah,
It keeps going.
The linear progression of time. I'm an expert on.
Well, my disdain and disdain's a hard word for Eddie Vedder. I was a very big Mother Love Bone fan.
Oh, sure, yeah,
and so it was a big disappointment for me when Andrew Wood died, and I liked Pearl Jam's first record, and I probably have like 2 songs they've done since then.
Okay,
and they've done a lot of records.
They sure have.
I think Matt Cameron is the best ever. He's probably just one of the coolest dudes there could be. But what really did it was when Chris Cornell died, and I was like, we still have Eddie Vedder?
Man, that's harsh.
We lose Lane Staley, Mark Lanigan, Chris Cornell. We lose those voices?
Yeah.
And we still get a new Pearl Jam record every 18 months, huh?
Think about the only band to survive from that era is Pearl Jam, and Matt Cameron is no longer in the band. But yeah, Lane Staley, Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, even if you want to toss Scott Weiland into the mix, Glenn Hansard just died. Like all of these people that have been surrounding Eddie Vedder's life that have died. And
he's like the goddamn angel of death.
Sean Smith's another one. I love Sean Smith. Brad was a side project, and Sean Smith's an incredible singer. He died a few years ago. It's Eddie is wrapped in bubble wrap or who the hell knows what. But it's just like the series of events for Pearl Jam to exist because Andrew Wood died, and then to be able to still sell arenas and last for as long as they have and still make music even if you don't like them, and that's something that I came to terms with a long time ago.
You could be friends with people who don't like Pearl Jam.
When people are like Fish sucks,
Thanks,
Pearl Jam sucks. Oh, okay, no, they don't. You just don't like them, which is fine. I don't care if you don't like Pearl Jam. I love them and I get a lot of joy out of it, and I love the fact that you love whatever band you do. It's but don't.
I can't be bothered to learn it, but no.
But don't tell me that a band sucks when they clearly have an audience and continue to thrive. That's what gets under my skin. But yeah, I just these synchronicities that have to happen in order for a band to last at all, period, and then to last for 30 plus years. Pearl Jam's coming up on 36 now, which is, it's just insane. I think about like U2 or even the Stones, like bands that continue to tour, continue to exist, even if they become tributes to their former selves.
Right. Yeah.
I saw Journey a few years ago.
It's a tribute band.
It's a tribute band, yeah. And
at this point, so's AC/DC almost.
Totally.
Or they were.
I think the Who are kind of a tribute band to their former selves. They still have.
I'll die on that hill. The Who stink.
You don't like the Who?
No.
Well, it's not surprised you don't like Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam is derivative of the Who.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
But Daltrey and Townsend are undeniably incredible musicians and have had a major impact on the history of rock. But they can't do it like they used to be able to do it.
No, nor should they.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nor should they.
Right.
I think that there's, like if you're not transitioning to a different kind of performance and a different thing, I think the last 2 Rolling Stones records were really good.
I agree. That Lady Gaga song on the Stones record, that's a great song.
It really is
a really good tune.
Yeah.
And that's Mick Jagger still being Mick Jagger, so that's
right, but
amazing.
it's also like the music's changed.
Yeah.
It's like it sounds like them doing a different kind of music.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mature thing to do.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how much longer touring should be in the cards.
I think about that too. Like, why do they keep going? Like, Dylan was just at the Man a few weeks ago, and I've seen Dylan a bunch over the years, and I got offered tickets to it, and I was like, do I want to go see this version of Bob Dylan? Because he's 83 or 84, and that's, I don't know. Maybe I'm being unfair. One of my really good friends, 2 of my good friends, went and saw Paul Simon at Red Rocks earlier this summer, and they said that he didn't sound great, but it was Paul Simon at Red Rocks, and so you still get to say, I saw Paul Simon.
88? Nah. 26.
There's wins and losses in this game. Yeah. You know.
Well, I do have a theory that, and I think this is why Matt Cameron quit Pearl Jam. Actually, is that being a drummer from especially a '90s rock band is not sustainable.
Yeah.
I think we saw it with Taylor Hawkins, and I think he was like, I can't physically do this.
Yeah.
And he, like,
the two hardest jobs are drummer and singer.
Yeah, and Pearl Jam's still playing long sets.
Yeah, not
and
as long
touring,
as
and touring quite a bit still.
Right, but it's interesting. I mean, they're getting old, and I went and saw Dave Matthews Band for 2 shows in Camden earlier this summer, and Carter Beauford, their drummer, is 68. Tim Reynolds, you know, the guitarist, is 67 or something like that. Like, how long can you do that and continue to be healthy? And I you know, you would look at Matt Cameron's job from the outside and be like, you're the drummer for Pearl Jam. It's got to be the greatest job in the world. And probably superficially it is, but it doesn't mean it's not tiring. It doesn't mean it doesn't take its toll. And I'm not saying I'm Matt Cameron, but I get where he's coming from.
Right. And don't forget, in his free time, he also would play drums in Soundgarden.
Yes. Like, he knew all of the Pearl Jam. I mean, he knew all the Soundgarden songs, and then he joined Pearl Jam and had to learn 110 more songs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, he was also Soundgarden's drummer. And, yeah, I think at some point, creatively, you're burnt out. Physically, all of it. And so, yeah. I understand why that dude decided to hang it up.
Yeah.
And on good terms, by the way. He left,
yeah.
You know, like, it seems like the band was supportive and wanted to remain friends with him. So that's hopefully a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have a show this year. They have a show at Ohana, which is this festival that Eddie Vedder puts on in Southern California, in Orange County. As Eddie Vedder's doing a solo show with his band, and then Pearl Jam's playing, and they have not announced who the drummer is. So it's going to be a surprise. And
if I die and go to hell, you know I'm going to be the drummer in both those bands.
That would be awesome.
And the set never ends.
Yeah, keep it going as long as you possibly can.
Or I'm a captive audience of one.
Chad Smith does some drumming for Eddie's solo band, the Earthlings. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Chad Smith showing up with Pearl Jam. But yeah, who knows? We'll know in October, I guess, or September, whenever the show is.
Right. Well, Nick, thank you so much. I'm so glad
Are we done?
Yeah. We can be done. We can be done. Or we can keep going.
We got to do this again. Hopefully, Joseph's feeling better, and maybe the three of us can sit around, because I love telling these stories. And thank you for having me on. It's such a pleasure.
Once he finds himself, he's trying to discover his spirit animal.
Is it like Central Mexico where he is? Is that
he's in Peru?
Peru.
Peru. He's going to it's the splendid source. Really.
I commend him on his choice.
Yeah. He had found an Instagram shaman, and I was like, dude, don't. You need to go.
If anybody deserves it, it's that guy. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a fascinating conversation and always fun. And
should we follow you to keep abreast of what's next?
Sure. Nick McIlwain 1 on Instagram, and I'm doing this drive out to the Gorge in Washington State in a few weeks. And so if you're a Dave Matthews fan, come see me at the Gorge, and we'll be hanging out in the RV and having some fun, and probably doing some ayahuasca as well. And and then, you know, we'll see what comes next. But I wanted to give 2 quick plugs before I leave. The first is to this wonderful organization called Sharing Excess. I've done some part-time work for them and consulting work, and they basically pick up where Phil Abundance leaves off. Any perishable food item, especially that comes into Philadelphia, produce, for example, they help distribute it and get it to people in need. If it's an avocado doesn't look right and it's not going to make it to the supermarket, you know, and whatever ugly piece of fruit that normally would have gone to a landfill, they make sure that people who are hungry get it. It goes to shelters and hospitals and schools. And the guy that runs it is just this incredible guy, Evan Ellers, and I'm a big fan of his and inspired by him. And so Evan, shout out, you're doing amazing work in Victoria as well. She's the COO. So those guys are awesome. Sharing Excess, you can find them on Instagram. And then I'm also doing some work for Philly Sports Trips and True Fan Travel. That's where I got to go for spring training.
My favorite nonprofit.
They are very much for profit, although they have a charitable side. But we're hoping to branch into the music world and entertainment world. So, think about going to see Pearl Jam in London, for example, or your favorite band, and travel to go see them. So True Fan Travel and Philly Sports Trips. If you're ever looking to do a trip, go see the Eagles play in London, or go see the Saints play in Paris this fall, that type of thing. So I love working for those guys, and hopefully can help them continue to build and grow. And that's where I'm going to be for the next few months.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
I love
man.
it. Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, everybody. Welcome back, and hopefully fall is not as shitty as summer. We'll see. See you next week.
Bye.
Or in a month. I don't know.
Whatever.